All right, what's going on, folks? Happy June 26th, Thursday. Terrible weather down here in the south of Brazil. It's cold, it's raining, but I know up in the northeast, it's setting a record high heat index and stuff like that. So hope you guys are enjoying the weather up in the States at least. It's giving me a hell of a lot of time to sit behind charts and kind of look through market movements, etc., while some of you guys are celebrating summer. What we're going to do here over the next 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to be a relatively short session. Let me go ahead and adjust this microphone a little bit. Looks like it's a little too crazy. Hopefully it's down a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm on a MacBook, and so our co-host Josh is not going to be able to join us because I can't figure out how to get desktop audio working on my MacBook. So over the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'm going to talk through my feelings from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and total crypto market cap. First things first, I do want to give a shout out to the equity side, Coinbase, Hood, etc. Names that have been running with Bitcoin, traditionally speaking, have really taken the baton from Bitcoin in particular. We could look at something like a Hood, which we currently have exposure in. You can see the doodles there. We have a lot of exposure in Hood. We've owned this in some capacity since the 13.5 breakout, going all the way back to the beginning of 2024. We've added in time and time again. We've played this very beautifully. And we have a current position, at least one trader inside of TTI, over 2,000% win right now in Hood. Continues to progress well. I mean, it's hard to hate this. Let's talk Coin really quick, though. You know, kind of the dark horse here, Coin underperforming Hood for the last couple of years. Then the news came out that Coinbase and Circle IPO'd, and Coinbase got a bunch of regulatory approvals, and Circle IPO'd, and all of a sudden Coinbase popped off. So finally we're getting some follow through with Coinbase. I know there's a lot of long-term holders in Coinbase that are probably very, very happy with that. Both Coinbase and Hood both trading up near all-time highs now. But the bigger story here, at least in my mind, is what the hell's going on with Bitcoin if you have the TradFi portion of the market that typically tracks, the crypto space. Why is Bitcoin not responding well? Why is Ethereum not responding well? What's going on with the crypto space in particular? So we're going to go ahead and look really quick at Bitcoin. First thing I want to point out is I have no idea. I mean, I think it's fair to say I have no idea why Bitcoin is not running. There's going to be a million different ideas out there. People are going to say, institutional accumulation is already underway, and so there's not a whole lot more buying pressure. You're going to see some stuff come out saying that hedge funds are shorting futures and therefore depressing current price. I don't give a shit. I'll be 100% honest with you. What I care about is capturing uptrends in strong parts of the market, and obviously Bitcoin is arguably still the strongest part of the market within the crypto space, so I want exposure. I'm not a fair weather trader. I don't get mad if things don't move after a week or two. I don't have TikTok brain rot. I can sit through a trade for a while. But one thing I do want to point out is if you're using something like an options on IBIT or something with an expiration, you do have to take that into consideration. I do have a position in the July expiration in IBIT, and those are slowly eroding in value. I have no idea if Bitcoin pops before those expire. I think it's July 18th, but I still have long-term exposure in Bitcoin, and I expect primary trend to continue to the upside. I've seen in the short term people posting some tactical plays like somewhat of a flag setup. Sure, if that makes you feel better about your Bitcoin holding, feel free to continue to hold it. Things that matter to me, we're above the 50 RSI, we're above a 200-day moving average, and we're above the 70K range. That's it. I'm going to continue to hold Bitcoin. I expect this to continue to rally. Whether or not it rallies in the next week or the next month or the next year, I have no idea. I'm here to capture, the behemoth in the space, which is Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum, which I'm more bullish on, at least in the short to intermediate term, than I am in Bitcoin, higher ADR, right? So this is higher beta by nature. Bitcoin's going to move 1%. Ethereum's going to move somewhere like 3 to 4%. But Ethereum has underperformed Bitcoin over the last week and a half. So you can see Bitcoin reclaiming in the middle of the range and Ethereum not so much. Ethereum back retesting the bottom of the range that it sat in over the last couple of months. So this has my attention because I have a rather large position in Ethereum through ETHA, which I have everywhere from July to December expiration. And I have spot Ethereum exposure, and I have some leveraged exposure in Ethereum. So I'm vested in this idea of Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin. So I'm watching this, right? I'm not necessarily worried about short term. If the contracts in July expire worthless, that's totally fine. It's cost of doing business. What I would really hate to see, though, is Ethereum take off and I don't have an adequate position in it, which I still think is going to happen. If we look at Ethereum against Bitcoin here, the last time we were down at these levels, you can see we bounced and it led to Ethereum outperformance over the course of 2 years. Now, I don't think that Ethereum is just going to go straight up. I think that's part of the problem with people nowadays. Well, I guess it's been a problem forever. But if things don't go straight up, they get bored and they think the trade's over and they try to short or they move on. I think that's the wrong way to go about this type of stuff. I think Ethereum, for better or worse, is going to outperform Bitcoin over the next 12 to potentially 24 months. So I'm setting that framework now. I'm setting the positions now, and I'm going to let them work. The entire thesis rides on the fact that last time we were here, we started to bounce as well. Over 2 years, Ethereum outperformed Bitcoin by 400%. So obviously the right trading decision was to be long Ethereum in late 2019 through late 2021. Bitcoin gets all the headlines, Ethereum made more money. I think we're in the beginning of that same sort of environment where Ethereum is building out a base. Once again, I don't think it's going to go straight up, but I think this is the beginning of the same type of relationship where Ethereum bounces against Bitcoin and it outperforms. That doesn't mean Bitcoin is not going to do well as well. It just means that Ethereum will probably outperform. I do want to point out, though, that while we're in the beginning stages, it's not yet confirmed. So I like it. Like I said, I'm setting the framework for that idea to play out, but it's not yet confirmed that it's happening. We need to move above the 200-day moving average in that ETH-BTC ratio. I need to see a move above 3K in Ethereum to really get bullish here again. I'm not adding any more exposure. What I have is what I have. I would love to add in more to Ethereum, but it needs to confirm. And I think the first step there is 3K. And as of right now, like I said, we're just pressing back up into the support level of this range. We're not even back into the middle of the range. 200-day moving average is still sloped down. We're underneath it. So I think we're early, which if you have enough expiration in a long enough time frame, that's totally fine. But from a capital allocation standpoint, maybe I don't want to add anymore. I think I'm okay where I'm at. So Ethereum has to be on your radar, even if you don't actively own it right now. Watch for that ETH-BTC ratio to really start to break out. Then the last thing I want to talk about is just the total crypto market cap here. As long as we're holding above 3 trillion, it's hard for me to get super bearish or want to get out of crypto. Something that people are finding out here is that TradFi, particularly for those of you coming strictly from a crypto background, TradFi actually has a lot of really good trading opportunities, right? Inside of TTI, we've nailed 6 different 1,000% wins over the last 8 weeks. We probably have a lot more on the books that are coming as the market breaks out into all-time highs. But right now, the crypto space is just not getting the same sort of oomph that you would have expected, particularly with the type of names in the TradFi market that are running. I'm talking shit stocks, right? Smalls and mid-cap names, ARC Components, talking Avis Budget, which I thought was bankrupt up until 2 weeks ago when we opened our first position. That trade's worth over 1,000%. Rocket Lab, BBAI, which I just made a video on, Big Bear AI. We're in SOUN. I mean, we're in a lot of really shit stocks that during certain market environments are the preferable trading vehicle. You can make a lot of money in these. Maybe they aren't the next NVIDIA, but they don't need to be. You're just in them to make money. What I'm kind of on the fence about is these are the types of market environments where you would expect crypto to really shine, and yet it's not. It's just kind of lollygagging around. I do want to point out, I guess, it was everybody's dream 10 years ago that institutions would pick this stuff up. Bitcoin, and to a lesser extent Ethereum, once the institutions were on board, we were supposed to go to $1 million per Bitcoin overnight. What I really think is going to happen, and you can call me out if this ends up being wrong, but in the 80s, prior to all of the regulatory frameworks and the tape that went on to commodities trading, that was the Wild West. You could get some very volatile moves, some good trends going, make a lot of money. A lot of the names, the turtle traders, for example, made their living and their name from trading commodities, futures, and stuff like that. Then you had the regulatory framework come in, and a lot of the volatility is now gone. I think that with institutions coming in and buying this stuff up, I don't think it's great from a trading standpoint. Long-term investment standpoint, if you think that price is going to go up, totally fine. I'm talking from a trading perspective. You need volatility in the markets to trade. You need it. And with institutions sitting on the bid and hedge funds shorting futures against it, I think there's a lack of volatility in the market right now, which makes a lot of this stuff a lot less appealing to trade. So we're actually seeing a lot of crypto traders come into the TradFi market because the TradFi market right now feels like the wild, wild west over the last 8 to 10 weeks, and crypto hasn't really done anything. But as long as we're above the 3 trillion market cap range, I'm still risk on in crypto. Like I said, my largest position right now in the crypto market is Ethereum. I have a lot of Bitcoin exposure as well, but Ethereum, I'm banking on that move on Ethereum against Bitcoin over the next 12 to 24 months. I think it's going to happen. And one thing I want to point out here is that when it happens, I don't think it's going to be easy to get in if you're not already in. I really don't. I think it's going to be one of those things where you wake up and it's just boom, Ethereum's up 10%, 15%, Bitcoin's up 5%. People are going to go, shit, I want to wait for the pullback. And I'm going to sit there and scratch my head and go, why are you waiting for a pullback when we just consolidated for like a couple of months here? It's been 3 or 4 months now that we've consolidated sideways in a lot of these assets. What are you waiting for right now? If you wait for confirmation, a lot of times these things are just going to blast off without you. And then you're not going to have an opportunity to get back in because the pullbacks are going to be super shallow. You're going to think you're buying the top. It's going to be incredibly difficult. So as long as we're above 3 trillion, which we tested, by the way, a couple of weeks ago at the 3 trillion level, as long as Bitcoin is still remaining above 70K, which we have a long way to come down, I'm still bullish both in Ethereum. I'm still bullish, but I'm not willing to add in any more exposure. I'm already overweight until it confirms to me that it actually wants to break out. Once again, I'm going to show that chart because I am very bullish Ethereum, just taking its sweet time. Above 3K, I'm a buyer of a bigger position. As of right now, I think I'm properly allocated because I'm overweight Ethereum and it's just not paying out yet, right? I have some trades that are free. I have some risk on that's not. I have some July contracts that are down like 70, 80% on the ETHA chart. Whether those expire worthless, I have no idea. But once again, I'm not mad about it. It's the cost of doing business. And I think this is a bigger trend developing than something that I have to worry about over the next just 2 to 4 weeks. I'm focused on the next like 12 to 24 months. So we'll see if that plays out. Okay. So once again, shout out Josh. I apologize for not being able to get him on board. I know that you guys look forward to hearing his opinions on the trenches and the micro cap altcoins. We'll get that figured out for next week. But my name is Hamilton. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me once again. We're bullish crypto, but right now the TradFi market has a lot more trading opportunities, and so we're taking advantage of those more so than the crypto space, at least right now. Okay, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions regarding anything I went through, feel free to leave them as a comment below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, folks, and I'll catch you in the next video.